Hi folks, it's Coach Kelvin here from the We Run Virtual Run Club, and we run coach for Leeds and surrounding areas as well as online coaching. This is the last video in a short series about running intensities, but I am going to do a couple of videos to follow this up with actually how to put this together on a long-term planner. We're going to talk about easy running, so zone 1 and 2. So the top end of zone 2, lactate threshold 1, sometimes known as aerobic threshold, is the sort of end point where we're working predominantly aerobically, and then we start to use more muscle glycogen as we go into zone 3. Obviously, the zones are not an on and off switch. We do sort of blend between the five, and we're always using a little bit of each. We're not one doesn't ever really shut off, with the exception of the very very top end zone 5 creatine phosphate system. So let's talk about easy running. Easy running should be genuinely easy. The rate of perceived exertion should be like a 2 or a 3. And we should be able to have like a full conversation with a fellow runner. So we should be able to just chat away about a fairly complicated subject. Even at the top end of zone 2, LT1, which is quite an important point in training that we'll maybe talk about at some other time, we can still have a full conversation. We might have to just take a few little sort of little sort of extra breaths as we're talking, as opposed to something that's really easy. And what's interesting is that easy running is really misunderstood, and people just say easy. But anything from like a recovery run to LT1 is a huge breadth of intensity. And the fitter the runner is, the more likely they are to do more running in zone 1. And the less fit a runner is, or for those training on sort of lower volumes, really want to be doing most of the training right at the top of zone 2. And maybe even someone who's new to running, who's got a very low aerobic capacity, they're probably doing all their running at the bottom of zone 3, and that's absolutely fine for a number of reasons. So less fit runners and lower volume runners want to be more at the sort of top of zone 2, and higher volume runners and fitter runners will probably do more running in zone 1. And what's quite frustrating at the moment for coaches is there's a lot of talk about this zone 2 training like it's a thing, like it's a way to train, and it isn't. We just want to train well, periodize our training well, understand intensities, have the right intensity splits at the right times, and make sure that we've got the sort of mechanical strength to deal with what we're doing, because we've still got that limiting factor of connective tissue capacity, so tendons, ligaments and fascia to a certain degree, because they build up slower than the aerobic system. So most of our volume is going to be easy. For better runners, it's the bottom end of easy, because the mechanical demands of higher volume and faster paces require someone to maybe run a lot in zone 1, whereas lower volume runners and those that are less fit might do most of their easy running at the top of zone 2 and maybe into zone 3. And I'm just gonna put an example in here, otherwise this might seem a little bit like confusing, where people are going, hang on a minute, Kelvin, someone told me all my running should be like just fully conversational, even though I'm running 3k 3 times a week and I'm running at maybe 13 or 14 minute miles. So that runner who's maybe very new to running, who's got low aerobic capacity, if they were to run in zone 1, they would be probably walking a very very slow walk even, but they could handle some running. So why don't we give them some running? So they might actually be quite out of breath and can't have a full conversation, but the idea is that their volume is so low and their pace is slow enough that it's not too demanding mechanically, so that runner's not going to sort of pick up any injuries. And it's unfair to say to that runner that all of their running should be a a full conversational pace where people are saying, I just can't do that, or I just find it so frustrating that as soon as I start to run, it's not conversational pace, then I have to ease it straight back to a walk. So for those on sort of lower volume and newer to running, you can do most of your volume right at the top of zone 2 or maybe into zone 3 a little bit. So I hope that makes some sort of sense. I'm going to do a couple of videos on sort of how to piece this together in terms of a long-term plan. And if you've got any questions on this video or any of the other videos that I've done on intensity, please just let me know by popping a comment down below. And for now, happy running!